Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. Got a big show for you today. Got a full panel here this afternoon, so this will be a fun show. Joined by Nate the Great, Jonathan Mathis, the sports judge, and also Michael, the con man. How you doing today, Nate?
I'm doing well. My lacrosse team, the Colorado Mammoth, they won their finals. They won their finals, and now the Avalanche have a chance to do the same thing. So I'm pretty excited to be a sports fan right now.
How's the sports judge doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing great, fellas. It's great to be here. I had an awesome Father's Day, and now I'm back to doing what I do best, and that's talking sports.
Well, yeah, I had a great Father's Day. You can't see the whole thing, but my son bought me a big blanket that has the guys that helped me with my wrestling, and then on the top it has my GSR logo. So,
oh, that's cool.
When I use my other camera, it's going to be my new background. But no,
awesome.
And then we went to a rib fest. I went and ate ribs all day with my dad yesterday at a rib festival and listened to some live music. So it was a good time.
That's awesome.
How's the con man doing?
Con man's doing well, man. It's a beautiful day out here today. Father's Day was like rainy and gloom and doom, but today's a brand new day, and I'm looking forward to the show. One thing I will say, though, you got the judge back there looking at all them sneakers he got. I want one of them sneakers. I'm telling you right now, Judge.
Hey, I have plenty.
I can see.
Oh, no, but speaking of the hockey, Nate brought that up. You got the Stanley Cup Finals. Avalanche are up 2-0 already.
Yeah,
blew them out the last game.
Yes.
What do you guys think that Tampa Bay has a chance to come back in this series, or do you think Avalanche is going to run away with it? We'll start with Nate, since he's the big Avalanche fan in the group.
I learned my lesson from basketball. I said this on Friday. I will never, ever, ever, ever change my pick ever again on the NBA, because Jonathan, you weren't here on Friday's episode, so I said that the Warriors were going to win at 6 from the beginning. But then Game 3 happened. Celtics won. And I read a stat that 73% of the time, if a team wins from being 1-1, having a 1-1 advantage, they often win the final 73% of the time. I'm like, okay, Celtics are probably going to win this at 7 then. Nope. Warriors ended up pulling 3 games. So going into hockey, part of me wants to change the pick and say Colorado's going to win this in 5. Because they won the first 2, and I get it. New York Rangers, they ended up winning the first 2. I get that. Colorado's never lost an away game in this finals. They've never lost an away game before. I don't think that's going to – obviously, I think that this will happen, that they will lose an away game in the finals. But I think that really Tampa Bay lost yesterday because they kept turning over the puck. They've gone back. Colorado's gone back after game one when they realized, hey, we just allowed Tampa Bay to score 2 goals within 48 seconds of each other.
Right.
So we're gonna go and work on our defense. So game 2, Colorado forced all these turnovers. Tampa turned over the puck, and Colorado was able to score off of that. Game 3, I think Lightning's going to focus more on not trying to turn over the puck because that seemed to be the biggest issue. So I don't think that this will be another 7-0 blowout. I'm not going to predict the winner for tonight, but I will say one thing. Whoever wins tonight, I think, will lose tomorrow. That's my prediction.
Okay.
All right. What about you, Sports Judge? Do you think the Lightning have a chance to come back and make this a series, or you think the Avalanche are going to pretty much get away with it?
I think the Colorado Avalanche just has too much firepower, offensive firepower. But the biggest takeaway from this series has been their smothering defense. I don't think we could deny how consistently well the Avalanche has played incredible defense. And I think that has somewhat set the tone in this series, and it has provided a foundation for their own scoring spree that we've seen, and they've been able to force the Lightning into turnovers. The Lightning look like they're playing a little bit scared, which is uncharacteristic for a team that's, looking to defend their title. And now they're on the cups of being dethroned, which is incredible. And you can't say enough about Colorado. We know what they can do on the offensive side of the puck. They skate really well. They can score a lot of points. They have extraordinary talent. We've seen that. That's been on display. But the big story here is their defense. They held Tampa Bay to 39 shots, including 16 in game 2. That was very impressive. And, their ability to play at a consistent level and to play very fast, I think that has kind of, set the tempo a bit for them. It has set the tone. And I think Colorado is just a little bit too much for the Lightning. And, it's hard to win 3. I know a lot of us would like to see that rare feat. The Lightning has a chance to win three straight. They can three-peat. But I find it very difficult for them to pull that off, playing against a very, very good Colorado team that had the second best record in hockey and the best record in the West all year long. And their top producers, they keep, making amazing things happen on ice. It's just incredible to watch this Colorado Avalanche team. And if you like offense, well, you're watching the right series. And I think come game 3, the Avalanche will take a stranglehold on the cup, and it will be very, very difficult for the Lightning to come back. But I will give the Lightning one game. I'll say this is a gentleman's sweep.
What's your thoughts, Con, man?
How can I top that? How can I top that? He just basically said it all. I didn't get an opportunity to really watch the game, but if I'm looking with the stats that I'm looking at, it appears to me that there was more shots put on Tampa Bay than there was on the Avalanche, and the fact that the goalie made 17 saves and a shutout, while Tampa Bay's got Andrei Velasquez, whatever his name is, made 23 saves on 30 shots and a loss. Well, they're going back to Tampa Bay, so you got to give them. It's always good when you come home to play. It should give you some type of impetus. And, sometimes it's better to get blown out than losing in a real close game, because you can throw that one away and start from scratch, throw that one out and just go out and give it your best effort. But I think if they play better defensively, get more shots on goal, I think they have an opportunity to at least make it close. But, as the judge said, I think the Avalanche got too much going on. And I may give them one game. I may give Lightning one game as well. I think if they're going to do it, it would have to be tonight. I think if they win, our best opportunity would be tonight.
Yeah, I think they'll get one game. When the series started, I thought it would go. I predicted Avalanche in 7. Uh, I don't think it's going to go 7 now. Not with Avalanche winning the first 2. I mean, it could. We did see the Rangers win 2 games and the Lightning coming back and get in it. But I just think that Colorado, and the reason I picked them to begin with, they have too much firepower and their speed. Their speed is. I mean, it's hard to defend that speed, and especially with the stick handling ability them guys have. So I think the Avalanche will win tonight. I think Tampa will get one game. They'll probably get that second game at home. But then I think it'll probably be 5 games now. I just don't think Tampa has enough firepower to keep up with them. And now we got Rob in the house.
Here we go.
What's going on, y'all? How y'all feel?
This show just got a lot better.
Yeah, sure did. Barry White's in the
How
house.
y'all doing? I didn't get a chance to celebrate with y'all yet. You see.
Yeah, you've been
Rocking
You
working.
see, I feel like I'm in a parade. I feel like I'm in a parade.
Hey Rob, have you been watching much of the NHL Stanley Cup Finals? I think Rob froze up on us.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, there he is.
Hold on, am I back?
Yeah,
All
you're
right.
back.
My bad. I'm in Detroit on my way to the airport to go back home. So I've been on the move lately. But yeah, I picked Tampa. I'm not that into hockey, but I was able to catch the Tampa versus Rangers series, and I just thought Tampa played such a tough series. I had heard how great the Avalanche was, but just for me watching Tampa, I kind of gave them a chance. But clearly, the Avalanche are just outclassing this team. Not looking too good. Not looking too good for Tampa. So I think Colorado might get this one.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, I just think, like I said, I think their speed and the stick handling that the Avalanche have, and their goalie's not bad. I give the goalie credit too because he played a good game last game. But I just think that the Avalanche's speed and offense is going to be too much.
Yeah, because even in game 1, when it was like 3-3, the Avalanche didn't look like they were panicking. And then, like, did he get like the quickest goal in overtime? So it's like,
Right?
Yeah, their
So, yeah,
speed. Their speed is out of this world.
yeah, and they're tough. They're tough. They're not afraid to scrap. So it's hard when you have an offensive team that likes the physicality.
Yeah. And Tampa Bay's, correct me if I'm wrong, they won the last 2
Yeah,
Stanley
they
Cup?
won last 2.
Yes. What
So-
they're trying to do is unprecedented in hockey. They're trying to win 3 straight.
3-peat, huh?
I think it was they beat the Stars in 6 and they beat the Canadiens in 5.
Has there ever been a 3-peat in hockey?
Yes, but not in a while.
Not in a
And
long
I
time.
can't remember who was the last to do it. I'll have to look that up.
It's
I'm not
very,
sure.
very hard in the sport of hockey. Very rarely do you see teams win back to back.
It's like football.
Right.
Yeah, right.
It's like football. It's so
Right.
unpredictable because there has to be so many moving pieces that go on one page, that move
Right.
on one page.
Exactly.
What's that famous saying you hear on Drumline? One band, one sound. So
Mhm.
everything has to go right. It's not like basketball where you can, if you're a great player, you can kind of take your own destiny in your own hands.
Right.
As far as football, hockey, baseball, everything has to go right in every department.
Right.
Yeah. So to
And
answer your
sometimes
question,
it's
the
all
last
about
team
the
to do it,
team that gets hot at the right time too.
Yeah.
the last team to do it, it was the Islanders, and they didn't 3-peat, they 4-peat.
And like-
Whoa.
And
What
like
year?
even in baseball, look.
1980, 1984.
Wow.
Oh, that's when they had oh God, I'm forgetting.
Yeah, I can't.
They were good back then.
Well, like even in
I'm not a
baseball,
historian of the game of hockey yet, but don't worry, I'm gonna get that with you. I've been catching a couple games, especially since it's like really nothing on. And hockey moves fast enough where it can catch your attention, especially when you realize how hard that game is. So
Right. Well, for the first time this year, I experienced a live hockey game, and let me tell you,
Okay.
man,
Wow.
the atmosphere was top notch. Like it ranked up there as one of the greatest sporting events that I've ever
Wow.
been to. It was simply amazing. I went to a Ducks and Kings game at the Honda Center.
mm,
I've never been to an NHL game. We have the minor league team here in Indiana, and I went to one of them games. And man, it's a lot different being there live and than like watching it on TV.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was awesome experience.
Well, I've been to a minor league, but I've never been to an NHL.
It was a great experience.
I gotta catch a Blackhawks game.
You sure do. I recommend that you check out a hockey game live, and you'll have a totally different perspective on the game as well.
And
the
same
game
way
I went to was exciting because the team that I was rooting for, even though we lost, the team I was rooting for was started off with an impressive lead, 3-0, 4-0 basically, and then we lost 6-5.
Oh, so you saw a lot of offense that game.
Yeah.
And I think baseball's the same. If you watch baseball, watching it on TV to go into like a live game is so much different.
Yep.
If you're not a fan of baseball because you say it's hard to watch on TV, go watch a live game.
Yeah, true that.
And it'll change your mind because there's always something going on. Even when the players in between pitches and stuff, there's always something going on.
I've been to several Rangers games, so
I've been to plenty of Dodger games, so I know how that one is.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm gonna actually go catch both. I'm gonna catch a Sox and a Cubs game.
There you go.
Hey, nothing like Fenway Park with the Yankees and the Red Sox, though. That's off the hook. I'm telling you, that's crazy, man. It's a good time, though. Definitely a good time.
Well, my goal is to try to go to every baseball park in the country.
There's people who have done that.
I would look. I think it'd be cool. So far, Camden Yards there in Baltimore has been my favorite stadium that I've been to. It's just like down in a hole. So when you walk in, you're already at the
it's
pretty
XFL
cool.
Stadium.
And then
I hear a lot of great things about Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. I hear that's one of the nicest ballparks to visit.
I haven't been there yet, but I've heard good things about it. I'll tell you what, Detroit. Rob brought up Detroit earlier. Detroit has a nice stadium. I've been there when it first opened up.
Comerica Park?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually, so the hotel I was staying at, my view, I was on the 58th floor. I could see, like, because the way Detroit is, all three of their stadiums are right next to each other.
Yep.
So I could see Ford Field, I could see Comerica Park, and I can see Little Caesar Stadium.
Oh, nice.
I can see all three from my room. I'm like, wow, like everything is so next to you because I'm not used to that. Because Wrigleyville is up north. I always call it Kaminsky. I'm sorry, I'm from Chicago, so we don't call it guaranteed rate. But
right,
that's on 35th. You got the Bear Stadium right off Soldier Field, right off Lakeshore Drive. So everything is, and then United Center, you can really say is on the west side of Chicago because it's on Madison. So it's like all our stadiums and fields are so like stretched out. Yeah. And I'm looking out the window and I can see all three.
Yeah. And that's kind of like here
in Texas. There was something similar. So the last 2 years when I lived there, when the old Rangers Stadium got turned into the XFL Stadium, and now there's a new one. You have AT&T Stadium, you have the Globe Life Field, and you have Globe Life Park.
Yeah.
In Indianapolis, everything's close together like that. You can see Lucas Oil if you're from it used to be called Conseco, now it's called Greenbridge Fieldhouse where the Pacers play. They're right next to each other, so everything's kind of close.
Things in LA, our venues are kind of spaced out a little bit too. As you know, the new stadium where the Rams play, SoFi, is in Inglewood.
That's in Inglewood, right?
That's a little stretch. And then the Staples Center, I still call it the Staples Center. It's in downtown LA. And then of course you got Dodger Stadium, and that's in the Ravine. And then Angel Stadium, which is in Anaheim.
I haven't been to Angels. I've been to the Washington Nationals Stadium, Detroit, of course the Cincinnati Reds. I've been there the most. I've been to White Sox Stadium, the new one, and then I know I'm missing one. Oh, Camden Yards. So okay. I'm starting to get them up there a little bit, but I need to get more out west. I haven't been to any of them out west. Ricky Smith said, I think the Stanley Cup is the toughest grind in sports. I've watched all 5 of my Pittsburgh Penguins Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
Watching the game live is all match. But let me ask you guys.
Shout out Blackhawks.
Which let me ask you guys this question. Which sport do you think it's hardest to win a championship in?
I would say baseball.
Baseball? Yeah, I'm going baseball.
I would say baseball because that's a technical game. Like because you're not just relying on athleticism. Like you got to think. Like sometimes you got to sacrifice. Sometimes you got to force that error to make something happen. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think baseball, because basketball to me is probably the easiest.
Yes, no doubt.
You can kind of dominate like in basketball. Like how many people have 3-peats? Look at Bill Russell. You're not gonna see that really in no other sport. Tom Brady is just a freak of nature.
Yeah,
but other than that, in football,
especially in basketball, because of the way these teams are constructed.
Yep.
Right. And in basketball, you can cover up your weak areas, I think, a little bit more just by a player being strong. So if I got a player like Draymond, and if I got Draymond, Clay, and Wiggins on the court, I can hide Steph defensively. And now Steph can just pick people off. As opposed to other sports, when somebody's weak in the area, it's kind of hard to hide that.
Especially baseball, because if you have say a weak first baseman or a weak left field, hey, you can hit all the areas you want into those spots, and it would be harder to get to the. It would probably harder to get the out.
Yeah. I'm with Rob on that. I'm with Nate too. I think it's definitely baseball because baseball is a game of strategy, and you could fall into a major slump, and a team out of nowhere in October could just get hot, and they can go on this run, and the next thing you know, that's the team that's crowned champions. We've seen it in recent years, and
we saw it last year.
We've seen the Lightning win back to back. When's the last time we've seen a team in baseball win back to back? When's even the last time we've seen a team get to the World Series back to back? It was the Texas Rangers, I believe. In 2010 and 2011,
we lost both.
They lost both back-to-back years. I remember that. So I definitely think it's baseball. It's the most difficult sport to dominate in and win year after year. I know quite often we've seen my Dodgers get there to the World Series, and I get it, but they've always played a different opponent when they got to the World Series too. The first year they played the Astros, then the second year they played the Red Sox. Couldn't figure out either American League team. But I'm pretty sure this year we're gonna see the same thing. We're gonna see a different team that gets in there, and we're gonna see that underdog team like we usually do, because that's how baseball is.
I agree with all you guys, but I think if you ask anyone in that specific sport, they'll say it's their sport. You know what I mean? That's what I think.
Yeah.
But listen to what you guys gave me food for thought. I was going to go basketball because, that's what I know. But you guys gave me a lot of good information. So I'm gonna take that into consideration. And plus baseball, I mean, you got to play 162 games. I mean, it's a grind. Hockey's all professional sports are a grind, and the teams that do succeed, if you know, it all comes down to luck, and if you can stay injury free, because injuries are the major component on any level that you want to go to. So that's affected a lot of teams in all sports. So I think maintaining your health is very crucial.
And another thing people don't realize too, Chris, is that a lot of pitchers, by the time it reaches October, they get fatigued, and they're not pitching as elite. They don't have their elite stuff like they did during the regular season, and sometimes that has that not only has a mental effect on a player, but it affects their ability to throw pitches at a high level, and what that does, that just affects the entire team, because when you're lacking pitching, that puts more pressure on your hitters having to perform at such a high level.
That's great. Now let me ask you all a question. If I can ask you all a question. Yep, I hear you.
Hey, Mike, let me comment on this real quick, and then you
go ahead, boss. You
can ask your question before we move on. No, I think it's baseball because, for one, baseball is a game of failure. And what other sport can you hit the ball 30% of the time and you're considered great?
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing anything at 30% of the time in any other sport, you're on your way out.
Right.
And baseball is also a grind, and because, like you guys were saying about, Jonathan mentioned it, you'll have a team that plays terrible in the first half of the season, then get hot at the All-Star break and win the World Series. We saw that with the Nationals a few years ago. They were the worst team in baseball at the All-Star break and ended up winning the championship. It's just, and in baseball, it's a team sport. You have 9 guys out there in the field. The pitcher has most of the responsibility because he has the ball in his hand every time. So your other 8 guys are relying on the pitcher a lot. So it's just baseball with so many different variables. I think that's why baseball is probably the hardest sport to win a championship in.
And the parity as well. Yep. And the fact that teams don't stay together for a very long time. Like, look at that Nationals team, the 2019 team. None of those guys are together. Anthony Rendon is with the Angels. Daniel Hudson is with the Dodgers.
Like Soto's about the only one there.
Soto's about the only one there. And now they're in the rebuild. They got a bunch of young guys with a bright future. But it's a totally different ball club than the one we saw that won in 2019.
Because when you win that World Series, then a lot of them guys go other places and get paid.
Right. Exactly.
So I noticed that with basketball, with hockey, and the same thing goes with baseball. I feel like a lot of these, I feel like people are playing just to get an all-star vote or just get an all-star vote. But when the second half goes, they're playing to fight for a playoff spot. So that's why I think we really see maybe a difference. We start to see some teams' weaknesses and things like that. Maybe I think the Brooklyn Nets last year, weren't they first heading into the All-Star break? But then they actually were swept in the 8th seed in the by the Boston Celtics. So
what was your question, Mike?
No, I just wanted you guys take on because a lot's made about the analytics about baseball, more so probably than any other sport. So I want to know what y'all feelings on analytics and what role does it play in baseball, and do you think it's been more effective or been a detriment to Major League Baseball?
It's been an absolute detriment to Major League Baseball.
There you go. I agree.
When you watch the Dodgers on a nightly basis, you can tell that those guys in the front office and their manager, Dave Roberts, is an analytical nerd. Just the way he maneuvers his bullpen and the way he uses his pitchers. Like, for example, Craig Kimbrell is the closer for the Dodgers.
Okay.
I don't necessarily agree with that move. I think because of what he's done based on analytics and what his numbers have shown us in the past, that's why he's constantly thrown into the closer role. Does that make him a legitimate closer? Absolutely not. Does that mean he fits the role? Absolutely not. The guy I think that should be inserted into the ninth inning role is, of course, Daniel Hudson. I think Daniel Hudson has earned that role. I think he's a stronger pitcher. I think he'll come on in the ninth and get those final 3 outs in the game. And I think that's who you go with. Now, I've heard stories that Daniel Hudson doesn't like being in a closer role, but he should embrace that role because I think that he is the guy that can come on in the ninth, and execute his pitches, locate his spots and maintain his fastballs and his command and, win the game for you, get the save. But analytics is a huge, huge problem in Major League Baseball. And, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. Baseball has always been a numbers game, but not to this extreme. It's a totally different game nowadays because of analytics and because these managers rely heavily on it.
Yes.
Instead of going with the guy that's hot, instead of going with the guy that's producing for you. I know Chris knows this as well because Chris is a Cincinnati Reds fan. And David is a guy that relies heavily on analytics. And it's annoying. It's frustrating because you're scratching your head. You're sitting there scratching your head saying, wow, why don't he go with the guy that's been producing for you, that's been able to get the outs or that's been able to come up with the hits? It's insane to me, but that's the way the game is today. It's a copycats league.
I agree. I think analytics is a detriment to baseball because you get too many managers now that are puppets. They basically are just sitting there and they got other people telling them all the numbers and they go exactly by the numbers instead of going by the feel of the game.
Right.
And like you're right, the Reds do it. David Bell does it all the time. I've been hollering for him to get fired for a couple of years now. But you'll have a pitcher that going into the 7th inning has only gave up 1 hit in the game, but because he's getting ready to face that lineup for the 3rd time through, we got to get rid of him. And it's like not even the 7th. It could be the 5th, 6th inning. Whenever it gets that 3rd time going through the lineup, he's ready to get the pitcher out of there, no matter if the pitcher's pitching well or not. Then you go to your bullpen, which is terrible, and you don't know what you're going to get, and you're putting too many innings in their hands. So, and I mean, look at it. It's changed baseball to now it's either a home run or a strikeout. You don't have hardly no more bunts.
Yeah.
There is hardly no small ball played anymore. It's all home run or strikeout for the biggest part of it. So yeah, I think analytics has been a detriment.
It has been a detriment. Man, now you see all these guys. They want to hit home runs instead of putting the ball in play, and a lot of it has to do with analytics.
Yeah, right. And the thing too, guys, is that each team has, I don't know how many they hire, 6-10 people who probably never even played the game, but they know analytics. And you know what I mean? So, the eye test. Sometimes you got to go by the feel and the eye test.
Right.
You don't get that with analytics.
Hey, stat guy, what's your opinion on analytics in baseball?
Oh, the stat guy, watch out. He may be coming after me.
He knows what's up.
Analytics in baseball is the dumbest thing that's ever happened to baseball, and it's ruining the game of baseball. Plain and simple. If you look at I'm going to use David Ross as an example because David Ross is the biggest puppet in Major League Baseball right now because he has no say with what even happens in the Cubs organization at this point. You have a guy in Keegan Thompson who was dominating hitters a couple starts ago where he allowed 1 hit in 6 innings, had 9 strikeouts and 1 walk, and was at 78 pitches. But because the lineup was coming up for a 3rd time in the order, they take Keegan Thompson up before the 7th, and the Cubs lose 5-4.
That's ridiculous, huh?
Only because
does it all the time too.
Only because the 3rd time through the lineup, hitters hit like a 290 off of him as opposed to like a 220 the first 2 times, but he threw 78 pitches in 6 innings and held them to 1 hit. Mm-mm. That's what analytics in baseball has done now. They don't go by –
I hear you.
They go based off of history, doesn't go by the eye test. If you have a pitcher that does very well the first 2 times through the order and does not do well that 3rd time, if you can get that pitcher through 5 innings, guess what? 6th inning starts, you're yanking him. It doesn't matter if he's got a no-hitter going. It doesn't matter if he's got a 6-run lead. You're taking him out as long as that third time of the order is coming up, and it's absolutely ruined baseball.
Yeah.
And we saw that a few years ago in the World Series when Kevin Cash took out
Blake Snell.
Blake Snell. Yeah, remember that? And Blake Snell was dominating that game. You know, he was in complete control, and all of a sudden you see Kevin Cash coming out to pull him from the game.
Okay, so here's a quick set for you guys. Jonathan, I can't remember which pitcher it was, but there was a pitcher that was on your team, and he was pitching against the Cincinnati Reds, and he was about to throw a perfect game. And I can't remember who it was.
Ooh.
But if they kept him in and he was able to continue to throw all those pitches, that would have been the 14th time in Major League Baseball history that we've seen a perfect game.
Because I know Clayton Kershaw this year against the Twins, he almost had a perfecto.
Oh, sorry, you're right. It was the Twins. I was thinking of the game after where
that was Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, it was Kershaw.
That was Kershaw,
and Kershaw said that he was the one that removed himself from the game.
Oh.
I honestly thought it was Dave Roberts, and I actually was okay with that because I thought Dave Roberts was making the decision.
It was real early in the season,
you know. Yeah, to remove his pitcher to protect him. So I was okay with that. You know, I thought that was in the best interest of the team.
Especially this year, because with the lockout and stuff, they didn't have the full off season to ramp up like they ramped their arms up. So I can understand early in the season, you don't want to push it too far. You know what I mean? Because you want Kershaw later on in the season as well.
Exactly. You want all your healthy parts.
Yeah, analytics. I think it's hurt a lot of sports, but I think it's really hurt baseball probably the most, just because
it hurts baseball and hurt the LA Chargers. I'm sorry, I had to make a joke because of the whole Week 18 thing.
Yeah, because you get 80-90% of the managers now that are basically puppets. They do whatever the analytics department's telling them to do. And
true.
Numbers are good to a point, but numbers don't tell the whole story in a game. You got to have the eye test to fill the game. I mean, if a pitcher's hot, you stick with him. You don't take him out to put another guy in that you have no clue if he's going to be on that day or not.
Right. And this is why baseball has also become a bullpen game and now a fifth inning game, because you got a lot of managers that turn to their bullpen by the fifth inning because of analytics. So, yeah, back in the day, you used to see starting pitchers go deep into games. Not anymore.
Yeah. Now they're in a hurry to get their starter out, it seems like.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Or they don't even start the game with a starter. They start with an opener.
Yep.
Right.
You see a lot of teams doing that now, like the third or fourth game of a series, that it's basically a bullpen game. They start a guy that's going to pitch 1 or 2 innings, and then they just keep switching them out. And you used to not see that. You always had starters, and you were hoping your starter would go to the 7th, 8th inning.
Right. You always had a starter on the 5th day.
Last year, I think I saw a Dodgers-Padres game where there were a total of 14 pitchers that pitched combined between both teams in that game. And I'm like, dude, what the heck?
Man, to me, Craig Cancel is the pioneer of that, though. I don't know any other manager who was doing that constantly before him.
No, you're right.
And that's why you get the high turnover rate with managers.
Right.
They get that door in and out. But a lot of them land in other positions. But you find out right now, I think it's real tough being a manager in Major League Baseball or being a coach in the NBA unless you're Popovich, something like that, or football like a Belichick. You never know how long your career is going to be. Yeah. Again, that's based on analytics as well.
Baseball is just a copycat league. You saw it during the steroid era. You see it during the sign stealing era. You see it during the analytical era.
Yeah.
I mean, if one team does it, everyone else wants to follow. And keep up with the same trend, and it's been happening in baseball for a very long time.
I'm sorry, but I might be in the minority on this, but the steroid era is what saved baseball, honestly.
Oh, I agree.
You're 100%
if it wasn't for that, baseball would be dead. And as far as I'm concerned, steroids or not, what do steroids do for you?
Right. There's a good and bad to it.
No, but like, what do steroids realistically do for you?
It doesn't do anything unless you put in the work.
Right.
If you can't, it can make you as strong as you want, but if you can't make contact with the baseball, it's not going to do you any good. If you can't throw strikes as a pitcher, it's not going to do you any good. So what the hell of a difference does it make if you take them or not?
Right. And Dustin, I agree with. It would be so hard on players that used to juice, but and now that I listen to people and I see it from a different perspective now, and I'm on board with you just from hearing your thoughts about that. So yeah, you're right. It did indeed. It saved baseball. We were enamored the year that Sammy Sosa and McGuire was chasing down the home run record, and it was just a beautiful thing for baseball.
Yeah, and it 100% saved baseball, and that's why it's bull crap that them guys aren't in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I mean, that era saved baseball, and the Hall of Fame to me is supposed to tell the history of baseball, and you're leaving a big part of history out of baseball without Bonds and them guys in the Hall of Fame. And baseball knew it was going on. That's the other thing. Baseball knew it was going on, and they done nothing about it because they knew it was saving baseball. They didn't do nothing about it until Congress made them.
And it was affecting their bottom line. And know what else? What people don't even talk about, maybe Stat Guy can get into a little bit more deeper than I can. Okay, there weren't steroids in the 40s and 50s and 30s, but they were greenies. Same thing. Same type of thing, same type of stimulant that a lot of players were using back in them days. And that was legal. At least it was.
And here's the sad part about it. Barry Bonds is going to be a Hall of Famer regardless if he used steroids or not. And the fact that he's used steroids, people are trying to keep him out of the Hall of Fame when you look at the numbers he put up. Yeah. If you go back to the year that he hit the 73 home runs, there was a stat that I saw, and I can't remember what the stat was, but through a 162 game season, he saw a total of 310 pitches to swing at. Because everyone was trying to walk him. Of the 310 pitches that he saw to swing at, he put 240 in play.
Wow.
73 were home runs, another 100 something were hits.
That is crazy.
So 75 to 80% of the pitches he saw that year, he put in play. So steroids or not, you still have to be able to put the ball in play, and that's exactly what he did.
Yep.
That's a good point.
But we rave about steroids in baseball, but when an NFL player gets busted for using PEDs, we don't really say much.
Yeah.
It goes under the radar.
Yeah, it don't get near the coverage that baseball does.
It's not a much publicized thing. It never is.
Before we move on from baseball, what are your guys' thoughts on them not letting the pitchers use anything on their hands anymore? I think you're seeing a lot more guys get hit. They need to either come to what you're allowed to use or change a little something on the baseball where that's not happening, because somebody could really get hurt. You're seeing a lot more guys get hit by pitches. I think that has a lot to do with it.
And a lot of pitchers have complained about that, actually, that they can't really get a good grip on the baseball, and I think that has had some sort of impact on their ability to pitch and throw pitches more effectively. I think baseball needs to come up with a specific guideline on what's allowed and what's not allowed. I think baseball is like the NBA on these rules. They're just too inconsistent.
Yeah, I agree. And now they're checking guys after each inning and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I know you don't want them to have too big of an advantage, but you also don't want pitchers going at guys' heads.
Right. Exactly.
And you're seeing a lot more high and inside pitches that are. I mean, I don't have no problem with you throwing high and inside, but or you can tell, or just slipping out of their hand and almost hitting the guys.
Right, and then you have tempers flaring because the batter gets upset that he feels that the guy was intentionally trying to hit him when that wasn't the case whatsoever. The ball just happened to go up and in, and it hit you. My bad, my mistake.
Yeah.
It's inadvertently, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's a new ball too that they're using. So it's a lot that goes into it as to why these things continue to happen in Major League Baseball.
I don't have any sympathy for these pitchers at all. If you need a sticky substance to help you throw a baseball and help you grip a baseball, you don't belong in professional baseball. You don't use a sticky substance in high school. You don't use one in college. You don't use one in the minor leagues. Why do you need one in Major League Baseball? If you honestly need a sticky substance to create more spin and to be better at pitching, you don't belong in the major leagues if you can't consistently throw strikes without any assistance.
They got this thing called, I don't know if you guys probably aware of it. I'm just looking it up right now. Spider tack.
Yeah, that's what they were starting to use.
That's what they were, yep.
Yeah.
I'm kind of agreeing with that guy here. I think with all the sticky stuff and substance, I do think that, yes, some players have gotten hurt, but I think that really you don't belong in Major League Baseball.
I think it's the new balls more than anything.
And why do they switch balls so often? Why not find a ball that works good and stick with it? It seems like they're always changing the ball.
Trying something new.
Because there's too many home runs.
Too many home runs were hit in 2019, so they wanted to go with a new ball. And then you have 2020 and 2021. Too many strikeouts were thrown, so they wanted to switch baseballs again. And now you have a thing where you have guys that have hit over a 300 in their career, like Alex Bregman is sitting at 220, 230 right now with Houston because they have a new baseball.
Yeah, team batting averages are way down this year. Most teams are hitting like around 235, 240.
That's insane.
Yeah, definitely is.
You don't see many teams that are hitting over 250 as a team.
That's really
you don't see as many hitters as we did last year too.
And you see a lot of pitching staffs with better team ERAs than what you normally see as well. You have a lot of pitching staffs with like in the threes, a 3.7, 3.8 ERA, where when the batters were hitting the ball more, you were seeing them numbers up a little bit.
Oh, here's something right here, fellas. I don't know what you feel about this one. It says the pitcher's fingers are adapted to producing a certain amount of force. When you take away the sticky stuff, now all of a sudden you need more finger force to get the same resultant friction, which causes more injuries. What's your take on that?
I don't think it really caused more injuries because you were already seeing a lot of pitchers having to get Tommy John and stuff.
I think
they took that away.
You have 12-year-olds right now getting Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
You have high schoolers right now getting Tommy John surgery. Yeah. Because honestly, and I hate to say this because this actually just happened to a high schooler at the local high school by my house.
Oh.
He's a 15-year-old freshman who's throwing like 87, 88 right now.
Wow.
So he's going to be highly recruited by the time he's a senior. The fact that he hasn't had Tommy John surgery yet, his dad purposely made him have Tommy John surgery just to get it out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. What? You have parents contacting doctors trying to get Tommy John surgeries to kids that don't need it yet. Because
I've never heard of that.
Because it makes their arms stronger at the end of it, and it makes their tendons stronger than beforehand. So if you can get it out of the way and get the surgery done before you actually need it, it's going to help help prevent it from getting it down the road.
That is something else. I didn't even know that.
Wow.
Got me on that one. On that one.
Because a lot of pitchers come back better after the Tommy John as well.
Because you can look at John Lackey for an example. When John Lackey came into Major League Baseball back in 2002, I think was his rookie year. He was throwing like 91, 92. Has Tommy John surgery and comes back throwing 93. Has Tommy John surgery a second time and he's hitting 96, 97.
I think it's really, going back to the whole changing. I think really with all these injuries that we've been seeing by pitchers, it's really more because it's because of the adjustment. I think, we've seen all these injuries because of the adjustment, and they just need to stick and stay with the baseball that they're going with.
Gridiron Yuki, is the Tommy John injury really that painful?
I mean, it takes 14 to 16 months to heal from it for a reason. So,
yeah.
I would think almost just about any surgery is painful in a way. At least you're going to experience some type of soreness after, and you need some time to recover.
Yeah.
Tommy John is the equivalent of tearing your Achilles in your elbow.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. They cut the tendons off and they re-strengthen them. So even if you don't need the surgery, they're cutting into your elbow to basically snip all the tendons off, just so they can rebuild them better.
Right.
To me, it's crazy though that parents are getting kids to have that surgery don't need it yet. Because to me, with any surgery, there's a risk. I know you see a lot of pitchers come back better from it, but I'm sure there's some kind of risk involved where you might not come back better. You might not even be the same pitcher you was.
Right. That would be my biggest concern as a parent. I mean, I wouldn't want any type of surgery unless I have to have surgery. But that's just me though. Everyone's different, but
yeah.
For me, no. I why would I need surgery if I don't really have to have surgery?
Look at all those pitchers in the Little League World Series. Back when we used to play baseball as kids, how many of us were throwing curveballs and changeups and all this stuff at 11, 12 years old?
Mm-hmm. That's
now
true.
you watch the Little League World Series, you have these 12-year-olds throwing 70, 75 miles an hour, and then they're throwing 60 to 62 mile an hour curveballs, which you really don't see till high school. All those kids are going to need Tommy John by the time they're in high school because of the amount of pressure they're putting on their arms right now.
Yeah, and back when we played, they didn't have the pitching restrictions like they do now either.
Nope.
True.
And the funny thing is with what you said on that too, how many pitchers used to need Tommy John surgery in high school or in college when they had these pitch restrictions? It seems like now that they've gone to the pitch restrictions, more and more people need Tommy John.
Good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think it's because now you really don't get your arm don't get, like back when we didn't have the pitching restriction, your arm probably got stronger because it got used to throwing, where now if you're only throwing to a certain point, I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, it could have something to do with it. It could be a combination of things. Pitchers are throwing harder, you know.
Yeah, pitchers are throwing harder, which has a big reason to do with it. But the other thing is, too, like when you're throwing, like let's just say you throw 200 pitches per start as opposed to like the 90, 95 that you're at right now. When you start getting to that 150, 160 pitch mark, your arm is starting to get tired. So you're going to alter the way you pitch when you get to that amount of pitches. Like you're going to go with more fastballs and less breaking balls. Now when you throw less pitches are going to empty the tank. They're going to use more breaking balls. They're going to use more of their best stuff to try to get you 5 or 6 innings. And the more of those pitchers you use, the more of a strain you put on your arm.
Yep, that's true. And you see that a lot in Major League Baseball right now, where most pitchers are throwing either change-ups and curveballs more than they throw them more than they throw their fastball.
Because look at back in 2003 when the Cubs had Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood. Those guys were throwing 140, 150 pitches a game. But when they started getting to that 120 pitch mark, it was pretty much straight fastball and then an off-speed pitch here or there.
Right.
And
2 years later, their arms fell off because they went from throwing 150 pitches a game back down to this 90, 95 where the manager's like, we need you to empty the tank and give us everything you can give us for 5, 6 innings. And they weren't used to that because instead of like basically going all fastballs the last 3 innings, it was curveballs, sliders, breaking balls, everything they could give you for 5, 6 innings.
True.
All right, let's move over and talk a little bit of football before we get out of here. Got the season coming up. I figure we'll talk about a division, who we think will win the division. Let's start in the AFC West.
We got the USFL playoffs this weekend here too.
I'll be honest, I haven't watched any of the USFL. Have you guys watched it, and what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I have, honestly.
It's pretty good.
I only watched 5 minutes of it and I turned it off.
No, it's not bad. I mean,
I watched a
I
little
haven't
bit of
watched
one
much
game. I haven't
because
watched it since.
It's not
The
it's not the XFL, but it has improved as the weeks have gone on.
You know, it's good because a lot of players were on the cusp of being on the NBA roster and NFL roster, and but now they're getting the opportunity to get some exposure, keeps them in the game, puts a few bucks in their pocket, and you never know. So many injuries occurred in the NFL. That's like a minor league system for the NFL, just like the G League is for the NBA. So I think it has a lot of good positive things. Some guys can make a name for themselves and hopefully, get an opportunity or invite to go back to camp. Or some of them go there and play in that league because they need to learn how to do something. They need to learn how to better their craft. So I think it's a good thing. I mean, there's not many fans at the games, but I mean, it's pretty entertaining. Yes.
Well, there's no fans at the games because all the damn games are played in one freaking spot.
Yeah,
which
I
is
don't
why I
understand
don't watch
that.
it because I live like what 30 something. I live like what 7, 8, 9 states away.
Yeah, I think for what game was it? The Michigan Pittsburgh game yesterday had 340 people at the game.
Jesus.
And tickets are $10.
Really? I didn't know that.
You can spend $40 to watch 4 football games over the weekend, and yet they can only get like 12,000 fans for when Birmingham plays because Birmingham is the host city, but then the rest of the 3 games combined, you'll be lucky to get 1,500 fans total.
Why are they doing it all at one stadium like that? That seems like to me that you're hurting yourself because, like you just said, if they're in other cities, you'll at least start building a home crowd.
Yeah, Daryl Johnston admitted that yesterday when they interviewed him during the last game. Yesterday, he basically said they wanted to cut down on travel to save some of the travel expenses, and they wanted to try to contain COVID in case there was any COVID outbreaks by keeping everybody kind of in that same city and same area. But then he also said by doing that they messed up because they proved that they can host a big crowd for when the home team plays, like when Birmingham plays. They proved that they can host a big crowd for that. But then you get teams like New Jersey and Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, which are 1,600 miles away. You're getting 300 people for a game. It doesn't do you any good. They need to start traveling next year to get some of these other cities a chance to see football. I mean, I'm not even saying go to like a stadium that holds 35,000 people. Go to like a college soccer field that holds like 5,000 or 6,000. Go to like a college D2 football field that holds 10,000 people and get 10,000 people into a game.
Now, isn't Birmingham in first place, by the way?
What was that?
Aren't they in first place?
Birmingham is tied Birmingham won the South Division at 9-1, and then New Jersey was 9-1. They won the North Division.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I think if they was to start going from different stadiums, they'll grow. Because look what the XFL was doing; they were starting to get big crowds at those stadiums.
Because the XFL was smart, and they actually put it in 25 to 30,000 people venues. So even if you have 18,000 people, it looks better than having having 15,000 people in like a 25,000 seat stadium looks better than having 20,000 people in a 70,000 seat stadium.
Oh yeah,
good point. Good point.
I figured we start with the AFC West because AFC West probably to me is going to be one of the toughest divisions in football this year. You got 4 good quarterbacks in that division. I mean, because I think Denver is going to be better, so I think you have 4 good teams in that division. Do you think the Chiefs are going to stay on top in this division, or do you think somebody's going to take over the division? We'll start with Nate.
To answer your question, I don't think it's going to be my Broncos, but no, I don't think the Chiefs are going to win the division this year. Chargers are, yes, they have some questionable coaching decisions made by anyway. But I think that I really like what they're going with so far. Raiders have upgraded, but again, Raiders and Chargers is really all depending on their coach. Broncos, I don't think that we're going to be able to stop the run this year. So any team that has a good running back, I think will probably end up scoring some points on us, if not beating us. And then the Chiefs, on the other hand, we talk about this every year. I don't like their defense. I don't like their defense this year. You know, they lost Tyreek Hill, yes, but people often forget Chargers are going. They have the Broncos winning. Oh my gosh, they're not going to win the Super Bowl. I am sorry, but I'm a Broncos fan, and I'm saying that they're not going to win the Super Bowl. Chiefs, like I say, people often forget. Chiefs also lost Tyrann Mathieu. So that's going to hurt that defense out a lot. Because of Andy Reid, they might not finish in last, but I think that they might finish as a third seed team.
What do you think, Con Man?
Well, you know, I think there's one individual, as we all know, I think he has something to prove, and that might be Mr. Mahomes. You know what I mean? Tyreek Hill made some comments saying Tua is as accurate as Mahomes. And, you know, the fact that, you know,
that was laughable, by the way.
It was. And the Chiefs, right, they're going to be hurting with the loss of Tyreek Hill, which I think there'll be a loss. But, you know, something to me, I think it's going to give Mahomes more weapons. Instead of, you know, them focusing on one player, they're going to be able to focus and spread the offense out. I tell you what, obviously I think that's the best conference in the NFL. I think that Denver, I mean, they're giving a whole new look. I like the changes that they've made. But you know something? That guy Mahomes is a bad guy. I don't know. I think he's going to come. He's got something to prove. I think he's going to come ready. They're healthy as well. They made some adjustments. I think they're going to be fine. I'm going to roll with the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chiefs.
And I'm going to
watch out for the Ravens. Watch out for the Ravens.
Comment on somebody else's comment real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Damien said that Chiefs lost so many good pieces on the defense and offense. I don't see them being good at all. I don't know if I quite agree with that.
Do you realize what they added? They makes their offense even better.
They never had a defense. So
Marquez Valdez-Scantling is a bigger, better version of Tyreek Hill that can do the same thing, and then Juju Smith-Schuster is a better open receiver than anybody else they ever had.
Right, and they always had an opportunistic defense that's at the right time.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you add that skill set to a Mahomes who can prolong plays with his athleticism.
Yes.
Right.
Rob, who do you have winning the AFC West?
Granted, we just all celebrated Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to surprise you guys, and I think the Chargers are going to be a scary pick in the AFC West.
Hey, nah.
I think they just vamped up that defense, and I think that Herbert is going to be ready for people to start mentioning his name in the QB conversations of who's the top QBs in today's game. And I just think that the Chargers, to me, I think the Chargers can pull it out. It's going to be a close race to the end. I'm telling you guys that now. It's going to be a lot of winning done in the AFC West. I think the Chargers can hold front just because of that defense. I think Khalil Mack is going to be revitalized. You add him to a Bosa, and that defense is going to be tough in L.A.
What do you think, Scott God?
Not only do I think all four teams in the AFC West make the playoffs, but I think all four teams tie.
Oh.
I think all four teams are going to finish 10-7 or 11-6 and just knock each other off in the division left and right, and then pretty much lay wayside to the rest of their opponents because those four teams, outside of Buffalo, those four teams are the best four teams in the AFC.
Hey, if that happens, that'd be something else.
I couldn't agree more with that statement, actually. I couldn't agree more at all.
Like
That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
You put one of those teams in each division, minus Buffalo. The four division champions are going to be Denver, Vegas, Chargers, and the Chiefs. If you put them in any other division instead of in the same division, all those teams are going to win their division.
I don't know if I quite agree with you. If you put, say, the Broncos in the AFC North, I think the Bengals still take it. Or if you put the Raiders in the AFC North, I still think the Bengals will take it.
But Nate, you got to remember
the Ravens too.
But you got to remember this: the Broncos were really a quarterback away.
The Broncos were 8-9 last year and were a quarterback away from being not only a wild card team, but a quarterback away from being a serious threat in the AFC.
And they got that quarterback now. They got a veteran in Russell Wilson.
I get that, but I
same thing with the Raiders. Had the Raiders not had it happen what they had happened with John Gruden, that team was probably going to be a top 2 seed in the AFC. They were 5-2 at the time that happened with John Gruden.
Yep.
They brought in a new head coach who started 1-5 and then went 4-0 down the stretch to make the playoffs. The Raiders were another one of those teams where if they didn't have to go through what they went through, they were a top 2 seed in the AFC. The Chargers. If Brandon Staley kicks a field goal against the Chiefs in Week 16, not only do the Chiefs win, or not only the Chargers win that division, but the Chargers are a 3 seed, and that would have been a very scary 3 seed for anybody to play. And then you had the Chiefs over that 9-week stretch in the middle of the season, looking like the best team in the AFC again. All 4 of those teams literally can beat anybody in the AFC on a given night.
Not to mention that
Like, that's why I think all 4 of them are going to just knock each other out in the division. I don't think there is a clear-cut favorite in the AFC that you can point to right now and say they are the division favorites, because any one of those teams can beat each other on a given night. So if any one of those teams goes 10-7, 11-6, all 4 of them are getting in the playoffs one way or another. It's just going to be a matter of how the tiebreakers fall as to who gets the division and who gets the 5, 6, and 7 seed. And I tell you what, if Kansas City's a 7 seed, who in their right mind is going to want to play them as a 7 seed? Who in their right mind is going to want to play the Chargers, the Raiders, or the Broncos as a 7 seed?
Yeah. And Dustin, you forgot to say with the Raiders, dun dun dun. Yeah, they add Devontae Adams.
Yeah. And knowing that 6 of the games that these teams are going to play are against each other during the year, they're going to be more than battle-tested heading into the playoffs. Name one AFC team that's going to want to face any of these teams that land in the 5, 6, 7 spot.
I wouldn't.
Oh, that whole division is going to be playoff football every time one of them teams play each other.
And that's why I said coming into the year, I think the top 3 seeds in the AFC, I think Buffalo's going to be the top seed.
Oh, yeah.
I think Cincinnati's going to be the 2 seed. And the AFC South winner is going to be the 3 seed. I said the AFC West is going to go 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that doesn't mean that any one of those teams are a bad team. It just means that they're going to knock each other out every single week to the point where they're going to pile up 6 or 7 losses. But those 6 or 7 losses aren't going to mean anything because they're going to be battle tested come the playoffs, and nobody's going to want to face either one of those teams.
Yeah, and if you're in that division and you can go 3-3 in your division, you're going to be happy.
You could go 1-5 in that division and probably still go 10-7 in the regular season.
Yeah,
I will say this though: if let's say last place team goes 10-7,
thank you. You guys have any salt?
Which I can see that happen. I can totally see that happening. Imagine what that last place team is going to be heading into next year, having to face the Jets or having to face Texans as any other last place team that they have to face. That's just one or 2 wins. That if they do build their roster up well, their 2024 season is going to be crazy for them too.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Jonathan?
I mean, this is a division that's up for grabs. It's definitely the most compelling division. I think in football this year, the AFC West is stacked. It's loaded. All of these teams are really good. They're fairly evenly matched. The odds are in the favor of the Kansas City Chiefs, no doubt. When you have a generational talent at the quarterback position like Patrick Mahomes, it's kind of hard to bet against the Chiefs. But then you look at the rest of the division, and you have teams that's just as good as them. You have the Chargers. The Chargers, they have a young stud at the quarterback. Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has gotten better. He's done a great job to elevate those around him. And, he's going to be something to watch this year. And I definitely think we're going to have to put some respect on his name because I think he's going to show up and be big time for the Chargers. And then, of course, you have the Raiders. And I talked about this before with Derek Carr. Derek Carr, to me, is the most unappreciated quarterback in
Kirk Cousins.
That's
football.
True.
Yep.
He doesn't get the respect that he deserves. Maybe now he will with his former Fresno State teammate now that Devontae Adams is there, because I could just see him launching passes down the field left and right to his.
Oh, yeah.
So the Raiders are going to be good. They gotten better. on defense. So have the Chargers. The Chargers got better on defense. They have a coach that specializes in defense, and that's Brandon Staley. And then you got the Denver Broncos, Russell Wilson now. They were a quarterback away, like me and Stat Guy was saying moments ago. So I mean, it really comes down to the team that gets hot, I think, and there's really no margin for error. I mean, you can't lose too many games because if you do, one of these teams are going to end up running away with the division. I really don't know. I'm going to place my bet on the Chiefs only because of the experience, only because of Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes feel like he has something to prove because he was kind of shaky and erratic a bit last season, and there was times that the offense looked stagnant, that they needed their defense to bail them out in the second half of the season. So I think the Chiefs will play better football. I think they're fundamentally sound. I think they definitely have the playmakers. The Chiefs definitely Patrick Mahomes definitely has all the weapons at his disposal. Don't forget, he still has Travis Kelce too.
Absolutely.
That's arguably one of the best tight ends in national football.
Arguably one of the best ever. Definitely the best in today's game.
Right. Well, George Kittle might block a little bit better than Travis Kelce. So
I'm taking Kelce's offense any day.
I'm with you. I'm taking Travis Kelce's offense any day as well. So I like the Chiefs to pull it out, but not by a large margin. I think it's going to be very close. I think all these teams like Stat Guy, I think either way they make the playoffs. You know, you can get a wild card spot. Somehow you're going to make the playoffs because your team is stacked just as much as the Chiefs are. So, I mean, this is definitely the division I'm going to pay attention to. And the second best team, I would say the second best team in that division to me is the Chargers. I like Joey Bosa. I think they have an incredible pass rush. I think they have all the playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. Don't forget they have Austin Eckler, who's been one hell of a running back. So the Chargers, they got the complete package too. So I got them finishing second in the division.
Hey, you can't. It's like really you can't go bad with either team. And I know this is gonna sound cliche, but it's really gonna come down to who can win the games they're supposed to win.
Right.
Yeah, this is the only division in the NFL where it has 4 top 10 quarterbacks.
And that's why I said there's no margin for error.
And the other advantage I give Kansas City is Andy Reid. I trust Andy Reid in that division more than I trust Brandon Staley. I trust Andy Reid in that division more than I trust Josh McDaniels because he hasn't been a head coach in over a decade. And obviously with Nathaniel Hackett being a first-year head coach, you got to go with Andy Reid being the guy to just pretty much seal the deal if you need him to seal the deal. Because he's been there and done that before. He's been to the playoffs 18 of his 22 years as a head coach.
That's a great point. You got one coach in that entire division that has more experience than the rest of the guys. That's an excellent.
Yeah, that's true.
Got Frankie in here.
He's a Patriots fan, so it makes sense why he says that.
No, I think I like the Chargers to win the division. I think the Chiefs are going to be right up there. Like you guys, everybody's already said, it's going to be the toughest division with the top 4 top 10 quarterbacks. But I just like the moves that the Chargers made, bringing in Khalil Mack on defense. They got plenty of weapons on offense, and I think Herbert's just going to continue to grow, and he's going to even play better this season. So I like the only thing that worries me about the Chargers is the coach. I do think the Chiefs have that advantage with Andy Reid because we've seen Staley already have some management issues at the end of games. I mean, hell, they'd have been in the playoffs if he had just not called a timeout. So he just has to tone back his aggression a little bit. I like to be aggressive and try. You have to score points. I understand being aggressive, but you also can't go overboard with it. And there was times where I felt like he went overboard with it and mismanaged the game.
Yeah,
I agree.
I keep going back and forth on the old Chargers Raiders pick, but all this because of this whole weird coaching calls that he's made last year. I'm actually starting to think maybe the Raiders are going to win the AFC West.
Ooh.
It very well could. Again, anybody can win this division, but I'm still sticking with the Chiefs at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm one with the Chiefs.
You can only pick one team to win a division.
Yep.
I think experience is going to play a big part.
It's going to be a fun division to watch.
Can I say this now? Because I don't want anybody to hear anybody's mouth. I know Chicago Bears are going to suck this year. I am choosing Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Don't want to hear nobody's mouth at the end. Tom Brady's my favorite player in the NFL, so we can skip this whole Steph Curry thing like we just did. So y'all heard it here. I got people that are vouch for it because everybody now act like they never heard me say Steph was my favorite player in the NBA.
I'll give my opinion on that.
Oh, I got mine.
I'll give my opinion, but I'll wait till that we cover the NFC South.
Hey,
and
one thing though, guys, before we say anything, it just came over the time line machine here. The Browns are willing to pay half of Baker Mayfield's contract. Will that make a difference to any team that might be interested in him because they didn't want to pay his full contract?
Hell no, because they can't afford to get rid of him at this point.
Them coming out and saying that, does that mean there's not been much interest in him?
No, there's interest in him. Carolina's heavily interested in him, but Carolina didn't want to pay the full thing.
Right, exactly. Most teams just didn't want to pay the full ride. Now Cleveland said, "Well, we'll pay half." So,
I don't think Baker's going to play if the Browns don't get rid of him.
Man, Baker's not going nowhere. Cleveland needs him now more than ever.
Yep, Cleveland can't afford to get rid of Baker Mayfield because
he's in the driver's seat right now. Honestly,
I'm willing to bet my house that Watson doesn't play again.
He can't
play again.
Like every week a new girl come out.
I'm willing to bet my house that Watson will never play down in the NFL again. And the reason why I say that is, did he play last year?
No.
Is he going to play this year?
No, it's not.
Probably not.
Do you honestly think you can go? Do you honestly think you can go from a Pro Bowl caliber, All Pro caliber quarterback to not seeing a single down for 2 years and then come back and do what you did? Especially going from one organization to another organization where you're going to have a whole year of not being able to throw to your teammates, a whole year of not being able to learn the plays, a whole year of not being able to be around the coaching staff.
The only person I can think of maybe was Michael Vick. After he got out of prison, he still signed a $100 million contract.
Yeah, but this is a different.
I know. I'm just.
Yeah, this is a lot different from.
It is a lot different.
There's a reason why Cleveland hasn't traded Baker Mayfield, and this is the reason why. Because if Watson cannot play, you still have Mayfield set up where he's been with the organization for 4 years. He knows the system, he knows the guys around him, and he knows what he can do. At least he gives Cleveland a fighting chance to get a wild card as opposed to you ship Baker Mayfield to Carolina, say for Sam Darnold. What the hell are you going to get out of Sam Darnold if Watson can't play?
Right.
Okay.
Well, the Browns can't
play. It can't play. This was guaranteed money.
$34 million is guaranteed, and that's a signing bonus. That's all he gets.
Okay.
But the Browns have also came out and said that if Watson don't play, that Brissett's going to be the starting quarterback. That Baker's not even in their backup plan.
Trust me, if Baker Mayfield's on your team at $17 million a year, he's starting over Jacoby Brissett, who's making $2.5 million.
No, I agree with you. They'd be crazy not to start Baker over Brissett.
Why is Jason Hayward still starting in Major League Baseball? Because the guy makes $23 million to do nothing.
I mean, I get it, but Nick Foles, he made $88 million just to be backup.
He was only making $2.5 million last year with the Bears.
I'm talking about with the Jaguars.
Jaguars, he signed a 4-year, $88 million contract to be the starter. He started week 1 and got hurt.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he got traded to Chicago. Chicago voided his contract, and they signed him to a 2-year, $5 million deal. So he was only getting paid $2.5 million to be the backup.
But, I don't know. Do you think Baker will play?
Yes.
I think Baker plays because let's just say he goes out and has a great year with Cleveland. That just proves that he's worth a long-term extension for somebody else next offseason.
Yep.
He had that surgery, so he might be feeling what he did. He played throughout that season injury, but now he seems to be healthy, so we'll see what's going to happen.
I still think he ends up in Arizona next year.
Oh, okay.
Baker is going to have to play in order to raise his stock and to raise his own confidence.
Yeah.
And if they do great, he's in the driver's seat because you don't want the dynamic. You don't want the look of Baker as a cancer to a team. Hey, we paid you we paid your contract. You got to go out there and play. So if I'm Baker, I'm going out there to go dominate. Like I'm going to try to take Cleveland as far as I can take them.
Right.
And I'm going to show the world that I'm worth the money, you know, and change that narrative of being the laughing stock of the NFL. People think nobody wants me. You know what I mean? So
yes, absolutely.
If I'm Baker, I'm going to go dominate.
Yep.
No, I agree. That's what he needs to do because this is a big chance for a big payday because he goes out and dominates with Cleveland this year. And then they go to trade him. His stock is going to go way up, and he's going to be able to get another big contract.
Right.
Well, right now I don't see nobody signing him to a real big contract. You know what I mean? There's teams that want him, but they're not going to want to sign him to a big extension yet. They're going to want him to kind of be more. They want to see what he's going to do, what he has left.
Well, the way you can look at it is the fact that teams were like, we're not going to pay that. We're going to let Cleveland play it. It wasn't just a smart decision because trust me, if that's a generational talent going on the market, then every team, they're paying whatever they have to pay to get that quarterback on their team.
Right. Yeah.
So you got to look at it from that perspective that people, they want Baker, but they kind of look at him as a liability, saying, well, we're going to wait to negotiate on our terms.
Yeah. All right. Let's before we get out of here, let's talk about the AFC East real quick. Of course, I have Buffalo winning the East. Do you guys think any of the other teams will be able to compete with Buffalo to try to win the East?
No,
I don't think it's even going to be close. Buffalo.
I don't know.
I have Baltimore taking the North.
I definitely see Buffalo running with it. I definitely think Buffalo is coming out of that division, no doubt. But a team that I like this year, and no, it's not the New England Patriots, but it is, of course, the Miami Dolphins. Look, the Miami Dolphins are going to be better. I know. Listen, hear me out. I think this was a make or break year for Tua. Tua has no excuses now. He's run out of excuses because, look, they brought in 2 starting offensive linemen, 2 running backs. They have 2 good running backs. They have 2 good wide receivers along with a new offensive scheme. So there's no more excuses for him. There's Tyreek Hill is there. You still have Weddle. You got playmakers around you now. It's up to Tua to stay healthy, to make the accurate throws because Tyreek Hill, he's more accurate.
Yeah.
Hey, he may be more accurate within 5 yards because that's all Tua does.
Right. Okay, so let's see what happens with that Dolphins team. But back to the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, he's a one-of-a-kind quarterback. Dude gets better every year. He makes the right plays. Not only can he hurt you with his arm, he can hurt you with his feet because he's a very mobile quarterback. He likes to run. That could be a little bit of a risk on your body, though. That's a bit of a concern if I'm a Buffalo fan because you don't want your quarterback getting hurt. You're going to need him for many years to come. So you want to keep him as healthy as possible. But I like Josh Allen. I like the Buffalo Bills. I think they still have a good defense. We all know how good that defense was last year until they met the Chiefs. And, unfortunately, their season came to an end because of a coin toss. But that was last year. This is this year. Buffalo Bills are going to be good. They're going to come out of the AFC.
You know what? Just to correct you, and I wasn't even pulling for the Chiefs. Honestly, I wanted both teams to win after such a classic game. But the Buffalo Bills did not lose to a coin toss. They lost because their defense didn't make the right stop at the right time. Let's stop blaming it on the coin toss. Their defense put responsibility on the defense because the defense could not stop.
Heading into that game, the Buffalo Bills had the #1 pass defense in the NFL. Made them look like a high school team.
Thank you. Let's put responsibility where responsibility needs to go. Wasn't the coin toss? It was the defensive play.
Look at the game right after the the Bills-Chiefs game. That game also went to overtime. Chiefs won the coin toss just like in the Bills game, but Chiefs lost the game. So I'm not blaming on the coin toss either.
You know. But I will also say this, and I'm glad you mentioned Miami sports judge. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because if they don't make the playoffs, if they don't have a successful season, Tua is out.
Yep. That's fact.
I think this is out by week 6.
Yep, I've said that before too. I think Teddy Bridgewater starting by week 6 or 7.
This is his year to do something. And if he
I
don't,
think either one of two things.
I mean, I don't know how much longer you can keep believing in someone if they don't show you.
The thing is, Tua should be blessing his lucky stars right now that all this happened with Deshaun Watson, because Brian Flores wanted Deshaun Watson bad. He wanted him bad for a reason, because he never believed in Tua from day one.
Yeah.
I mean, Tua hasn't shown anything.
Exactly why I don't think he makes it through 8 weeks as a starter this year. Granted, Teddy Bridgewater isn't going to be like a top flight all-pro quarterback, but Teddy Bridgewater is a game manager who knows how to win games.
Right.
You get him in a situation where he's got weapons around him, he will take care of the football and win you games. And I think Miami has a better chance to win games with Teddy Bridgewater this year than they do with Tua.
I think either one of two things will happen. One, Teddy Bridgewater will start by week 6. Or 2, Raheem Mostert's going to be probably a breakout player, and they just hand the ball off to him.
If Mostert can stay healthy, that's been one of his
That's
problems.
true.
I think the biggest concern I have, yes, he's got Jalen Waddell still there, and yes, he's got Tyreek Hill, but losing Devontae Parker, I think, is going to make a difference too.
Yes.
Devontae Parker and Tua had pretty good chemistry, where all of a sudden now you bring in a guy like Tyreek Hill. Him and Tua are not going to be on the same page right away. And the longer those two go struggling, the worse that offense is going to look. Where if you still had a guy like Devontae Parker on the team, at least Tua's got 2 or 3 safety blankets to use.
They're not going to be on the same page, but I will say this. Now, I agree with Pride and most other people on this panel. I don't think Tyreek Hill is a route runner, but I think that's going to serve well for a guy like Tua who likes to throw the short ball. Because you can just give it to Tyreek Hill and just say, run.
Yeah.
Be fast. So, and sometimes, let's call it like it is, that's what Pat Mahomes used to do.
Yeah,
so
but
it's like, okay, I can prolong this play.
The difference with that is Pat Mahomes could take the top off of a defense if he had to. So even if you line Tyreek Hill up and do like a quick screen or whatever, Mahomes still had that threat to take the top over the defense.
Of course, and he also had Kelsey out there.
Teams know that Tua can't take the top off of the defense. So they can play a lot closer to Tyreek Hill than a lot of other teams do, where even if you throw a wide receiver screen to him, he's not going to be able to do what he did with Kansas City because they don't have that threat to take the ball over the top.
I'm not saying at that level, but you also got to think about yards after the catch. Look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady's done that for years, where he just chips away at the yardage and we get the touchdown. I think Miami is going to be one of those teams that average a lot of time of possession, where they can just pick and pop until they get to the end zone, especially with a Tyreek Hill there, because you're not worried about Tyreek Hill hitting the home run. But if I can get you to get 10 yards after the catch here, 5 yards after the catch here, and we can just eat away at the yardage until we hit the end zone, I think Miami could beat a lot of people that way. Not to mention now we get closer to the end zone, Tua can show his athleticism and his strength by getting the ball in the end zone. So I'm not going to just dump on Miami like
I'm not either. I just have a problem with their head coach.
I get it, though.
Their head coach has already said he's trying to make Tyreek the next version of Deebo Samuel. I'm sorry,
but that's not going to happen.
45 pounds more than you, and you're going to get killed if you try to be the next Deebo Samuel.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, no,
it takes a lot to be Deebo. Like, people don't understand what Deebo does and what he do. That some of that stuff you can't teach. You just either have it or you don't.
And if you look at any of the videos that they've had from Dolphins camp right now, they've lined Tyreek Hill up in the backfield and they've given him handoffs. They've done end arounds. They've done flip passes. They're literally trying to use him the exact same way that he used Deebo in San Francisco. That's going to kill Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill has a different skill set. Tyreek Hill needs to be Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I just think that Tyreek Hill is a good fit with the Dolphins because of Tua as quarterback.
He's definitely gonna miss Pat Mahomes. I'm gonna tell you that.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
He doesn't right now, but the first, not even preseason game has started yet.
I'm pretty sure he gonna call. He gonna call Pat. And was like, my bad, bro.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a longer conversation on my bad, bro.
Yeah, if they try to use him as Debo, they're going to get Tyreek Hill killed because he's too small. He's not built like Debo.
Right. He has a different skill set, and he's too small.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, different skill set.
Right.
I guess the team that I'm not going to say worries me in the AFC East, but the team that I'm most intrigued to see this year is the Jets. And that's mainly because of what they did in the first round of the NFL draft. They got arguably the best cornerback in the draft.
True.
Then they turned around and got one of the top 2 wide receivers in the draft.
True.
And then they turned around and got the second best edge rusher later in that first round.
For me, though, actions still speak louder than words, though.
And that team didn't play that bad down the stretch. Once Zach Wilson came back from his injury, I think they were 3-3 their last 6 games under Robert Saleh.
You're right.
So they did start to play well, and now you add 3 first-round talents that could all contribute right away. You could be looking at a 3 to 4 win turnaround.
I think they have.
So Dustin, is it safe to say that's your sleeper team?
Not in the AFC, no, because they're still not going to be good enough to make the playoffs. But they're just one of those teams that I think
interesting
might pull a Brian Flores when he was with the Dolphins, where they start the year 1-6, 1-7, then go 8-1 down the stretch where nobody wants to play them.
I think that the Jets are not my AFC sleeper team, but they're my AFC East sleeper team. And I say that because I don't think that they will make the playoffs at all, but I do think that they might have a better record than the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots. I could totally see that happening.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll go ahead of the Patriots or not. I'd like to see what they have, but I think the Jets are going to be better than they were last year. I think Saleh is going to turn them around. It's just going to take him a couple seasons. But before we get out of here, let's get the final thoughts. We'll start with Nate. You got any final thoughts, Nate?
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and mention the rest of the divisions that we didn't really talk about. Tell you, I'm not going to tell you why, but I'll tell you who I think will win the division. AFC West, I think it'll be the Raiders. AFC North, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. AFC East, Buffalo Bills. AFC South, Indianapolis Colts. NFC, Rams. NFC West would be the Rams. NFC North, Packers. NFC East, going with the Eagles. And then NFC South, I'm going with the New Orleans Saints.
All right. You got any final thoughts, Conrad?
I'm just looking forward to, I got the NBA withdrawals right now, so I'm looking forward to the NFL season, and I'm anxious to see what they're going to do with Watson. I'm anxious to see what they're going to do with Mayfield and a whole lot of stuff going on in the NFL. I'm just looking forward to see what's going to happen. But I'm going to go with Buffalo in the West, though, for
sure. Rob, what's your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is shout out to the Warriors. I didn't get to celebrate with the afternoon squad, but Dub Nation, a lot of haters out there. Steph is top 10 all time. Just so people
you
know.
only became Warriors fans since your Bulls lost.
Oh no! I've always been a Steph fan.
Hey, you
just have to know me.
Tomorrow. We'll talk about Steph's top.
We'll talk it all about tomorrow.
We can do that. I'm down.
We'll do that.
But shout out to the Warriors, and I am waiting for a great NFL season because I just think this season is going to be one for the memory books.
I think so too.
I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. I don't go around and say Dub Nation every time the Bills take a W.
Hey, guess what, Nate? Dub Nation.
Hey, Stat Guy, what's your final thoughts?
Kind of piggybacking off of what Nate said, I have Buffalo winning the East, Cincinnati winning the North, Colts winning the South, Chiefs winning the West, and then I got Cowboys in the East, Rams in the West, Buccaneers in the South. And then my sleeper team, not only in the NFC, but in the NFL this year, is going to be the Minnesota Vikings. For whatever reason, Kevin O'Connell going to that team, a team that had the lead 14 of their 16 games, or 15 of their 17 games they played last season, they had the lead. 9 of those games, they had the lead in the fourth quarter. 7 of those 9 games, they had the lead with less than 5 minutes to go, and they went 1-6. You change any one of those games around, that is a playoff team. And they still have every single one of those pieces back, and now they finally have an offensive-minded head coach, which Kirk Cousins has never had. And Kirk Cousins is still coming off the best season he ever had in his career last year with a defensive-minded head coach.
Wow.
What about you, Sports Judge?
Well, fellas, the NBA trade rumors and speculations are heating up, and the Lakers are apparently interested in trading for Bradley Beal. Now, the last I heard, Bradley Beal wanted to stay in Washington. So I don't know how true this is, but I do like this trade proposal. The Lakers would receive Bradley Beal, Hachimura, if I pronounced his
Rui
name.
Hachimura.
Yeah. Daniel Gafford, Vernon Corey Jr., and the Wizards would receive Anthony Davis and Talen Horton-Tucker.
Huh.
Can I give you up?
All I can say on that is good luck affording him and Russell Westbrook.
Gentlemen, it's been reported that Bradley Beal has made his decision. He's just not letting it out there. He has made his decision where he's going. We just ain't going to know until he wants to let us know.
I think it's going to be the Celtics.
I mean, he would be a nice fit in LA, and the reason I say that is because LeBron needs a shooter around him.
Bradley Beal's going to Portland. He's going to join Damian Lillard in Portland to finally give Damian Lillard that elite scorer next to him.
Well, I've also heard this too. CJ McCollum is trying to recruit Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yep.
New Orleans. To join New Orleans.
Damn.
So I mean, it's a lot.
Who would they have to lose to get Lillard in New Orleans?
Zion. And I just don't know if New Orleans is willing to part ways with Zion. Any trade that you make with the Pelicans at this point, Zion's going to have to be included. And I just don't know if the Pelicans are ready to get rid of Zion, especially when you look at last year. They were a play-in team last year with no Zion.
Yeah.
And they took Phoenix Suns to the brink with no Zion last year and came a couple minutes away from forcing a Game 7. And if you remember the reports, they announced that during that Game 6 that if there was a Game 7, Zion was going to play Game 7.
Wow.
And that's why I wanted a Game 7 so bad, because I wanted to see Zion come out there.
Yeah.
Frankie says Kyrie is coming to LA. I've heard
Honestly, Kyrie has actually said it this morning that he is willing to hit the free agent market, and he's put LA as his top choice.
It's going to be interesting, man.
It's going to be
Next couple of weeks, it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be a major.
Yeah.
It's going to be a major shakeup in the NBA. It's going to be
That's
a
something
major.
That's something else we can talk about tomorrow as well as some of the trade rumors and trades going on in the NBA. So
I wish I could make that. I won't be able to. But I wish I can.
And CJ Millennium. Oh, excuse me.
Millennium, man. McCollum.
No, I was correcting my mistake.
Oh,
But earlier I said CJ Millennium. How did I come up with that? But yeah, it's gonna be interesting though. Damian Lillard to New Orleans to play with his former backcourt mate. Wow.
Now, I did see one, and I don't want this to happen. I do not want this to happen because I don't know how well the whole Damian Lillard, Jamal Murray thing will work out. But I heard a rumor that Michael Porter Jr., they're planning on trading Michael Porter Jr. in a couple of pieces. I can't remember who exactly was involved, to Portland to get Damian Lillard. And
a lot of rumors out there. A lot of rumors.
Yep. And it's that time of year. This is when the NBA gets exciting.
That's another thing we'll talk about tomorrow is the NBA draft. Got the NBA draft coming up on Thursday.
Hey, Chris got to do his show at 3:00, so we got to get out of here.
Oh no, we're okay. I do got a show at 3:00, but no. Hey, I appreciate all you guys coming on today. Hopefully you guys, you're welcome to come back on anytime. So if you want to come on tomorrow, just let me know. I always put the link in the morning chat and the afternoon.
Cool.
But yeah, you guys are always welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
And if you're new to watching ASAP Sports, ASAP Sports Network has a bunch of programs, a lot of good analysts on there. Have shows going on all day from about 10 in the morning until midnight or after. So make sure you check them out. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and all that good stuff.
If you guys are open to talking the College World Series again tomorrow, I'll be back in Omaha again.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
I was at Omaha I was in Omaha Thursday through Saturday, came home Sunday and today for Father's Day, and I'm heading back to Omaha tomorrow morning.
Wow.
Are you covering the College World Series?
I'm covering Notre Dame for the website I work for, yeah.
Oh, nice. No. Very cool, Dustin.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about that. Just let us know when you can jump on.
It'll probably be. Let me see. I think Notre Dame actually plays at 1:00, so it might be like right when your show starts before Notre Dame plays. Was I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Notre Dame. It'll be in the elimination game at 1:00 tomorrow, so they'll have their first game tomorrow. So I'll probably be able to get on for like a half hour before they play tomorrow.
Isn't Stanford playing right now?
Yeah, Stanford is playing Ole Miss right now,
Stanford's playing Auburn.
Yeah, Auburn. Yeah, they're up 2-0 right now on Auburn.
I could probably see some of it. I'm going to have to step out soon.
It's an elimination game right now.
It just came on my TV, actually.
Okay.
That's what I'm watching right now is the Stanford Auburn.
I've loved an elimination game.
I like college baseball, too.
Hey, back to what we were talking about, how small ball died in baseball. You want small ball, watch college baseball.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
I want to thank everybody joining us for the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. We will see you guys tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll have a lot to talk about again tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Catch you later.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we're making a plays. We're talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.